Nick, you're months behind. We can do so much more now. I'm going to put a bunch of bots in front of you. I'm going to let you talk to those bots, and I'm going to take the information, compile it together, and in like 24 hours, you're going to have a product that is going to be pretty well hashed out for you so you can share it with people. You peel back the onion and you automate every step of your process. And that's where the power is. You automate yourself with AI.
Kirill, I'm super excited to have you back. We've already talked. We've done some AI stuff, but so now there's some trust here. There's some rapport here. And I wanted to bring you back because I think that you're freaking smart. The way that you've built things is freaking smart. And I just want to learn from you, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
So today what we're going to talk about are the hottest thing in the world, directories. Now, I did an episode with Min Win where he actually kind of outlined how he's doing directories. He started a pickleball court directory, and that's aggregated all of the pickleball courts kind of around the country and has put them in one place. But think of a directory as a less flashy version of Yelp or a very niche version of Yelp. So if we want to take all of the pickleball courts, for example, and place them into one directory. So now when somebody searches on Google, pickleball courts near me, there's a massive directory of pickleball courts that are near me. It doesn't have the same sexy UI that Yelp might have, but it has all the niche information that you're looking for. And if you start driving a lot of traffic to that, you can make a lot of money through ads and through clickable links and affiliates and all of those things. Well, in the past, directories were really, really hard to do because in order to get all that information, you had to know where to scrape it. Now, Google, if a business was actually listed on Google, great. It was already in that format. You could go to Google and you could scrape the business listing because you knew exactly, in this cell or this pixel, I don't know exactly how it's mapped, this is where this data set will be. But for those websites that weren't on Google Business Profile, you couldn't do that. So they were kind of left off of these directories. Now with AI and using context, you can actually go to these websites, scrape their data, and list everybody, whether they're on Google Business Profile or not, into these directories. So it's expanded the number of directories. It's made the niche offering even more valuable. And people are looking at this and saying, what can I scrape together? What kind of directory can I make? I asked you, this is one of the ideas that I gave, was like, let's build a scraping tool so we can build a directory. And you were like, that's the easiest thing I've ever heard of, Nick. So yeah, let's do it.
All right, Nick, I got to be honest, though. I've never built a directory before. And that's why, this is why I was so interested in this, because I was like, I know I should have directories. I know they make money. And me and my buddy that I work with right now, we've always talked about all kinds of directories we want to have. So precisely for that reason, because it's still a good opportunity. You can still make money with it. And you just got to find something niche and hot and create that, and people will follow. And so I was like, yeah, this is going to be great.
Job? Did I do a good job explaining it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. We're going to cut that out and just blast it all over YouTube. And it's going to be like, what is a directory? You're going to add it to Quora too, for people who want to know what directory is. No, it's golden. But
cool.
But my point is, it is in fact still really hot in terms of businesses. And so I was like, yeah, of course I want to learn how to do this. And if I'm going to learn it, we're going to do it live.
So there's already scraping tools out there. So there's a company called Outscraper, which is what Chris and I have used in the past. And they basically take all the Google Business Profile data. They've got a database. So I can go and run lots of reports and get lots of contact information. But it's those other websites that don't have it in the formatting that we need to build a scraping tool for, right?
Mm-hmm. Let's just do it live and we can discuss it. I prepared a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit. And I'll show you it. So I want to tell you how I thought about this when you said, let's build a directory. And just to show you how fast it is to figure out how to do these things with no coding required. I was in the gym this morning. I was on an exercise bike talking to Grok.
As one does.
As one does, of course. Yeah, luckily I was the only one there, so I was the weirdo in headphones just talking to Grok about random directory sites. We actually built a tool for this with my friend, and I'll show it to you later. It's called the Scout Z MVP agent. But normally, I would talk to my MVP agent that I tailored for myself. The only problem is I didn't build the voice mode into it, so it's not something I could use on an exercise bike. So I was like, you know what? Let me see if Grok can do it. So I went to Grok, opened the voice chat, and it's fantastic, by the way. If you haven't tried it, you have to. Just start asking random questions in voice mode when you walk around with your dog in your headphones and just ask questions. You can learn so much.
So are you using Grok in the Twitter or X app, or are you using the standalone Grok?
I'm using the standalone app. In there, you hit voice mode, and it just starts talking to you and listening to you and responding to you, right? And it works in your pocket.
Let me ask you this question, because I'm terrible with this. I think I know the answer. I'm just an idiot and I've never done it. The latency for me is a problem. And I know now, the timing is not the issue. We could dial up or dial down the latency at this point. But it's when I'm having the conversation that I do something like what I just did right there. Okay. I did that little pause. Do you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
The AI thinks that I'm done. And so it jumps in and it like throws off the rhythm of the conversation. How do you not do that?
It's gotten pretty good at giving you a few seconds to pause. So it's not trying to interrupt you right away. But the beauty is, if it does interrupt you, you can just interrupt it right back and it knows to let you keep talking. And it's not been that much of an issue. What's actually the issue is the reverse, where sometimes I'll ask it a complicated question. Like I'll say, hey, can you create a markdown document for me? And there is no branching yet where it can say, sure, I'll go make the document for you and then I'll tell you when it's ready. It actually starts reading the document out loud to me in my ears. And that's the annoying part, because the document might be 6 pages long and here you are walking around listening to the AI. And if you interrupt it, then it will stop generating the document because it's literally spelling out what it's making for you.
What about just saying in the beginning, like, don't respond to me until I say, okay, go, Grok. Will that work?
I've not tried that before.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm very smart, Kirill.
I'm very pretty smart. I mean, you're doing pretty well for yourself, so you got to be pretty smart to do that.
I am pretty smart. Anyways, all right. Sorry, that was a side note. So you're
no, it's great. Let me show you.
You're talking to Grok. Cool.
Let me show you. I'll screen share. So,
and while he's pulling up the screen share, something that I did not do that I should have in the beginning. Kirill's got over 10 years of startup experience, coding experience. He's started and sold multiple companies. If you want to hear his background and experience, you can go back to listen to the first episode that we did, I don't know, a month or two ago at this point, but he's currently working on a company called Scousy. Tell us really quickly, Scousy, what are you working on there?
Gosh, Nick, you're so 2 months behind.
Oh, I'm such an idiot.
You're good. If you want to learn more
now?
Yeah, no, more. I'm just doing more because we can do so much more now. If you want to learn to what I'm actually doing right now, you can go to QED.AM. Quite easily done. But also in Latin, there's a phrase that it stands for that which needs to be discovered. And so we thought it was a really good name for actually, discovering projects with AI. Scousy is now one of those projects. I'm working with a friend of mine, Kirill, and we are basically shipping whatever we want to exist in the world. We are using all these tools to just ship a project a week. And we've shipped a few and we have more of them in works. Whereas, just to give you some ideas, right? Like we basically provide you development services that are augmented with artificial intelligence. So if you want to hire me, so to speak, to build your product, I'm not going to be doing it for 3 weeks. I'm just going to put a bunch of bots in front of you, and I'm going to let you talk to those bots, and I'm going to take the information, compile it together, and in like 24 hours, you're going to have a product that is going to be pretty well hashed out for you to do version 1 so you can share it with people.
Hey, I don't know if you remember this, but when we started this podcast, we entered into a social contract. I would spend time, energy, and money producing this podcast, interviewing these individuals and giving you insights into how to build, buy, start, grow your business. And you would like, subscribe, and leave me a 5-star review. Now, out of that, we both get to talk to really cool people and hear really cool insights. We both get a ton of value. But I just want to help you keep your word. So would you do me a favor? Will you go leave a 5-star review for me on Apple or Spotify? It would really help. And if you want, even share this with a friend.
But as we were doing that, we're like, what's really difficult? Marketing is really difficult. And so Kirill is a writer and he figured out how to automate his writing. Maybe we shouldn't say this on air, but he's not written a single blog post in like 2 months, even though he publishes a blog post a day.
Now, are these tools wrappers essentially? Like the ones that you're shipping once a week, are they pretty much wrappers or is there a lot of code involved?
It very much depends.
Okay.
Let me finish the first point and I'll get back to this. But no, it's all good. But what I'm saying is like Kirill basically fine-tuned the model to where it knows what he likes in terms of writing. And it now writes blog posts for him where he just needs to accept them basically and like show it to go in this direction or that direction. And the funniest part is people have told him that they really enjoy his new writing. He's got more followers and more comments, and he's like not touched his keyboard, for the actual writing bit. And then we're like, well, this is cool, but YouTube, what you're doing, YouTube is really popular. And I have a podcast, but like I never have time to do it. I'm like, okay, what can we do next? I'm like, at some point I automated my avatar. So now we can just give it a text. There's a company called HeyGen, and you can go there and like you can create your own avatar with your own voice.
No way.
Using their interface though isn't amazing. So I built like to your point, like, what do we do? Well, I built an interface for us where I can like direct the interfaces to what I need my video to look like. So we've been experimenting with like, okay, can we have a content that's completely like autonomous, where Carrie writes the blog post and then like we narrate it, the two of us, bounce it off, and neither of us are real. I think that's gonna be
2 months.
amazing, right?
2 months. This is 2 months worth of not speaking, and this is all the crap that you're thinking of.
Oh yeah, there's been more.
Oh my gosh.
So, but that's what I mean. That's what we're doing. And what we're going to do today, I told you this guy has like a big reveal. This is already yesterday. I just can't show you tomorrow, today, because I'm still building it. But I'm going to show you how we're going through this by hand, essentially still talking to AI. But I already have workflows built where I just say, here's what I'm trying to do. And then I say, go. And multiple AIs talk to each other locally on my computer, trying to figure out like who's responsible for what, because I essentially have a project manager that does the writing and the directing, and I have a senior engineer that writes the plan, and I have a junior engineer that does the building of the stuff. Yeah, and and this is where we're going, where you're just going to be like, all right, computer, do stuff, and then you're going to go for a hike, come back, like check in from your phone, and it's just going to be. I don't know.
Is that an agentic workflow?
Well, I guess you would call it agentic workflow, yeah, in proper terms. And there's a bunch of systems there that do that for Fortune 500 companies. I don't like the bloat, so I needed something that's very simple, something I can visually manipulate, and that does exactly what I want. So I was like, what, let me see how difficult it is. And it turns out it is both difficult and not difficult. So we'll see.
Okay, well, you're gonna show us tomorrow next time.
Yes.
But why don't you still show me why I'm still living in the past, yesterday? Not only building the directory, but how we build the directory, which is, I think what you're saying is,
yes.
Oh, that's so yesterday, how we build the directory. So what am I looking at right here?
Let's go back to gym, and let's go back to the exercise bike where I started talking to Grok. And so what it is, and I say, hey, Grok, I want to talk to you about stuff. And again, so everyone can do this. This is so straightforward. And if you've not used the Grok interface, you can just do simple chats. You can enable this thinking mode where it basically just like runs a little longer and tries to give you like better answers. And there's deep search where it will actually go and do some research, look at some URLs. But I turn all of this off. Again, I'm in the gym, the connection is poor. And I'm just like, hey, Grok, I'm going to build this application. Let's talk about this. The vision is to be able to have like a directory website and, like just basically help me brainstorm this application.
I think, the prompt is so interesting to me. I like seeing how other people do it. Will you read that first prompt?
Which one?
Whatever the first prompt was that was setting the tone of like, hey, I'm brainstorming this. This is how I want you to interact with me.
Okay, we'll skip this one because I think there's some TV noise in the background. But here, the vision is to be able to have multiple website directories that I can set up that list something. For example, I would set up plumbers near me, and I will display all the plumbers that are available in my radius and find reviews, for example, descriptions of their services, etc. And then it will make it easy for me to find just the right plumber. And I want an application that can apply multiple directories like that. And then I probably pause to take a breath. And that's when it's like starts interrupting me, got it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wait, I'm not done. I'm like, the challenge here is to build this application. It's to find the information, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, okay, I just need to know what Okay, so what I need first is a tool that will help me scrape this information. And I don't know which tool, right? By the way, I'm going to be automating all of this with AI. Like, no problem. I'm just honest about it.
Okay, so you did, the very first part was like, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. Here's an example. Then you went into an example. For example, if I was looking for a plumber, blah, 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 blah. Then you take a breath or whatever, it interrupts you. And then you say, I need to make a tool that can scrape all of this data first. And then you give it the end state, which is like, ultimately, this is what I'm trying to do. So you tell it up front, generally, this is what I'm trying to do. Here's an example. This is the tool that I need your help with building in order to get there, and end state, this is what it looks like. That's an interesting framework for a prompt. That's cool.
Well, and let me sell my own stuff to you. So I was telling you about the Scout Z MVP agent that we built.
Oh no, here we go. Hard sell.
Okay. No. So like you guys,
I'm just kidding.
You guys can like play with it later, or hit me up for a promo code if you want to use it for free. But the point is, I guess you can't sell it because I'm actually terrible at displaying images. But so the bot will go, I know, right? I should look at my own website more often. Here, let me find this section here. So the bot will actually go through idea validation, problem discovery, target audience definition, and so forth. It's designed to prompt you with all the questions. So you can go to this bot and just say, I have an idea. And the bot would be like, great, what's your idea? Tell me more about it. Because it knows to go through these phases and to extract as much information from you as possible.
So why did you go to Grok and not your own bot? Why aren't you eating your own dog food?
Because my own bot doesn't have a voice mode. So it would be impossible.
Oh, okay.
Or it does, but it would not work well on a bicycle. So I was like,
got it.
Like, I know I'm going to be choking while like by 20 minutes, I'm done with this. So anyways, here, that's why when I'm doing this prompt, I'm kind of trying to think ahead. And
say the name of your bot one more time.
Scoutzy.com/MVP-agent, but Scoutzy MVP agent.
Scoutzy MVP agent. Okay, cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And again, this agent is specifically designed just to take your idea and help you think through an MVP. Because afterwards, you take this, you give it to us, or you give it to somebody else, and then they can go forward with that. And the beauty of this, and which is something that other AIs wouldn't quite do unless you instruct them to do it, it's very annoying. Like, it will keep asking you questions, and you're like, no, just figure something out. And he's like, no, I don't know enough. You have to tell me more. What do you really want, right?
Yeah.
And we've had a number of times, like a few people I worked with were kind of annoyed, but a few people were like really grateful for that, because every time the bot would ask, is there anything else? They'll be like, oh yeah, there's one more thing,
Yeah, it's a nice reminder.
So I'm trying to do this ahead and force this into Grok and be like, here's everything I want to tell you.
Got it.
So as you can see, here's this massive response from Grok, like just telling me everything I should know. And the beauty is that response, like, I'm just listening to this as a podcast, like, is it like,
yeah.
As in, like, I'm on a bike, I'm just listening to a podcast.
Can I ask you a question with Grok? Because I do this sometimes when I'm talking to ChatGPT. Can you adjust the speed? Like, when I'm listening to a podcast, I always listen to either 1.2 or 1.3x. Can I do that with Grok? Do you know?
I'm using my phone as my camera, so I can't tell you for sure.
No. You've never done it, though. Is the point.
I've never needed it to, but you can adjust voices, right? So you can adjust what kind of voice talks to you. So I'm assuming some of those voices are actually going to be naturally. I don't know if they still have it. Grok used to have this unhinged mode where it will just swear at you and call you names. So I tried that one. That was definitely unhinged and faster. But anyways.
No worries. Okay.
So, like, look, you were saying, you already know what scraper you like to use. It actually listed a bunch of scrapers for me, and it all looks like a text because it was never intended to actually display it visually. So if you use Grok on a website, it would have laid all of this out nicely so you can see it better. But because it was just reading it into my ears, it's just like a blob of text.
Sure.
So anyways, Appify is the one we're going to use. And then I continued asking it questions like, hey, this is great,
So Appify is the tool that you're going to use to build on top of, to build the scraping tool?
That is the scraping tool. So we're just going to scrape the tool. So I'll show you. Let me show you. We'll do 2 more minutes on Grok, and then we'll dive into building something.
Yeah.
I said, this is great. What would you do in order to make sure that this website starts to appear in searches early on, right? I want to think about SEO. So then it gives me all these ideas on SEO. And then I explain that URL structure is important in SEO. And then it's oh yeah, you're right. Let's think about your URL structure. So you don't need to be technical to do any of this. You can just talk about what you know, right? And it will help you. So now it says, okay, your app, emergency plumbers, zip code, if I want to go for zip code, or emergency plumbers, Austin, Texas, gives me some ideas of how I want to structure it. And then, oh yeah, see, you were asking. Here, I took a breath and I paused, or we got disconnected.
Yeah.
And I can just say continue, and it just continues because it knows the previous conversation. Eventually, I asked it about AI SEO. Do you want to know what it is?
Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent. So I don't remember if you saw this website last time we talked. Did you?
No.
Okay, so GA
maybe.
for
I don't
Hell.
remember it, though.
Okay, GA for Hell is something we started to improve Google Analytics because a lot of people have Google Analytics installed. Nobody knows how to use them anymore. They got so complicated, it's awful.
Yeah.
And so our first pitch to customers was okay, guys, we'll just dig into your Google Analytics and we make from it a little script like this, essentially, what you need to do. And we'll just email it to you so that you have quick understanding of what's going on with your website. We tested this on a couple dozen people. We're okay, this is good, but people are overwhelmed with information. So what can we do? We can give you like actionable items that you can just do to improve your growth, improve your customer retention, right? Like forget about what you know about your analytics. Just tell me what I can do to do better. And as
Right.
next iteration of that, what we're adding now to GA4 is the AI SEO. In other words, how do you make your website popular on Google was something we've been asking for the last 20 years. But for the next 10, we're going to be asking, how can I get ChatGPT? How can I get Grok? How can I get Anthropic to recommend my website in the user's query, right? How can I bring those customers onto my platform? Because like, look, I'm talking through text. I never need to exit Grok. So like websites, if they can't get in here, if they can't somehow get my attention and say like Appify did it, right? Because Grok
Yeah.
knows it's a good tool. So now I'm going to go there. So how do we structure our website so that we can do that too?
Google at their conference last week, IO Day, I can't remember what it's called.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, they announced that they're going to be integrating ads into the AI search. So that's the first time that they've actually said, yep, ads are going to be coming to AI search.
Right. So, and of course, with Google, you're going to need to pay them to stick your website into AI search, right? But can we do it somehow where we inject our website into training data? Somehow we convince AI that we are the best in the category. And that's going to be the next layer of SEO. Anyway, so I was like, hey, can you also optimize this website for AI SEO? And it gives me some ideas, which are pretty good. So I have this long conversation. We're going to fast forward to the end. And at the end, I got it to come up with essentially this document, a document as to how are we going to build the whole thing.
Now, was there, can you tell me in the prompt that you gave it for this document, did you say anything specific like, oh, give me a markdown list or put it in a JP2 format? I don't know, but was there anything specific that you asked for?
Let's look. So I said, okay, now can you put together a markdown document? It will do markdown by default, but I just like it. I was going to show you another tool I built. Do you want to see it?
No. I'll be here all day.
I know. So anyways, so I'm like, yeah, markdown document that summarizes all my needs from this discussion. Please be very detailed. Make sure I could share this with friends and developers, and they could basically build this product based off that document. Also for the demo, focus. And I said, for the demo, focus specifically on how we will make a local service scraper and listings for Boise, Idaho. So I'm trying to say, don't just give me like a scraper and this tool for everything, because we'll be here forever, right? We only have 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Just give me like one location for starters.
Dude, that's awesome.
So it produces this document, and I can share this later, but it's basically, this is something like the Scout MVP bot would have produced for you as well, but we have a very particular structure. This is less structured. This is like, here's what we talked about. So, I know we've been here for a while. I'm sorry. I love to talk.
Good.
I'm watching. This is good stuff. So what we're going to do now is we're going to open a new cursor and say, call it requirements MD.
So let me just back up because I'm an idiot and I probably missed this.
Yeah.
I know that we've now gotten sort of not just the prompt, but the outline of what the scraper is going to be doing. There's a geographical component to it. Do we have a specific thing that it's scraping though? I didn't hear that part.
So we are gonna, this is where time constraints kind of prevent us from doing everything we want. This is what I'm going to show you. I bypassed that part because we're not going to build it live right now. But I went on Google Maps and I said, here, emergency plumbers, Boise, Idaho. And I got
plumbers.
This map. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, sorry. I haven't mentioned that yet.
You probably did, and I just missed it because I'm a moron. But I was just like, wait, what directory are we building? So we're building a plumbers directory.
We're building a local services directory, but I had to pick something. So I said, plumbers, okay? And so if you go, and here's this thing. See, like right now, if you go on Google and say emergency plumbers in Boise, Google hijacks the top listings. Then it inserts an ad, and then it inserts maps. So it puts itself first again, and then it starts to put all these plumbers. So the only downside of directories, I guess, right now is in Google. You have to compete quite aggressively with Google itself. So you're not going to be the first one as you used to be in directories. Now, I went to Appify and I found this Google Maps scraper. And here I just said, you can see it, right? Here, should I like zoom in so your people
Yeah.
can see it? Okay. And so in the scraper, I said, I just want emergency plumbers in Boise. And I want 10 of them, just 10 places to start. By the way, if people are going to use it, which I think is pretty cool. And again, like this is making scraping so much easier than it used to be. But some things like reviews, for example, I said like number of reviews or.
So is this a template within Appify that is for scraping?
Yep. It's called Google Maps Scraper, and it's just a template, and it's just like,
wow,
you pick what you want and it does it for you. The only thing is, if you're going to do it, if I try to do like business lead enrichment, so essentially you get emails for all the CEOs of those companies. It's kind of funny calling plumbers CEOs, but they are CEOs of their own life,
The plumber company's coming for you, dude.
Yeah. So
can't dog on plumbers like that.
Man, they have some heavy tools. So some of this stuff requires you paying. So then I had to like turn it off. Like business lead enrichment doesn't work in a free account. Anyways, but I ran it. So here it shows you that it did the run and it ran for 600 seconds. And voila, it gave us all of this information. So, here's that stuff from Google Maps with links, location.
But this is only from Google Maps.
Number. And this is only from Google Maps. But we're just trying to show how easy it is, right? So,
right.
If we did this like a full project, and we can, if you want to, we can do it, but you take this information. Next step, you'd automate how you get to this information. So either Appify API or some other tool, but you'll say, okay, now I want to be able to get this information for every new location. And then you'll
What does that mean, every new location?
Well, like when I put it here and I say Boise, Idaho, right? But our app isn't going to be just for Boise, Idaho. Like, why make a website that only has Boise in it? It's going to be in Austin and, in Seattle and so forth. Because we want to fully automate it where you build the structure and then you put in your requirements and you just say go. And then by the end of the day, you have scraped all of these things for all of the cities over, 3,000 people, and then.
But it's only using what has a Google business profile at this point?
This particular Google scraper only scrapes Google profiles, but there's the same ones, like we can do, oops, it's actually hard to exit this interface there. You can do, what is it, Yelp? Is it still relevant? Boom, Yelp scraper. Like where else would you look for plumbers? So Yellow Pages. Yeah. Hey, look, there's Yellow Pages apparently still. I didn't know that was even a thing. But yes, so this would have all kinds of tools. In the same way, here, look, there's a TikTok scraper, right? Like if you want to, remember I said like marketing is really difficult nowadays. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can find videos with hashtags, which means you can find influencers to promote your stuff. Yeah, so it's awesome. They basically built an ultimate scraper for everything. So because scraping content is quite challenging. So, okay, so what I did next is I went to Cursor and I said, one thing, hold on, I'm going to need to do this. Cursor rules. I'm going to take this. I might as well tell you. So Cursor has rules which specify how Cursor should operate. I mean, this is an educational video, so I'll show you. For example, so I have like a bunch of these like auto rules, means that they always attached to my Cursor environment. Some are manual, some are requested by the Cursor as it runs. So one of the rules could be, for example, code quality. If we're going to build something, I have specific rules for how I want it to be built so that it's not just any code. It's like, do it this way. So I don't have to go later and tell you how to fix it or change it. You should presumably always do it this way.
You might as well be speaking in Greek to me. I have no idea what you're saying, but this, okay, looks great.
One second. Okay. Do you want me to explain?
Like,
no, if we were to play a game, a board game, we would all read the rules first, right? So that we don't invent the rules as we play. So this is what it is. I like specify rules of the game. And so that the Cursor, see now it can like review these things and it knows how I like to build my projects.
So we're building the website that's going to house the directory is what you're doing.
Exactly.
Okay.
We're going to see if Cursor can do it. Hey, can you take requirements and turn them into a PRD document that we will use to build this application. So PRD stands for what? Product Requirements Document. Essentially just outlines everything in a better format for the AI to understand what it needs to do. And that's where I said, like, the future development isn't going to be me talking to this thing all the time. Because think about it, we've had software development for decades now, right? And we've had rules around software development. And we know how to build teams in software development. So you need all these different roles in your team that are responsible for different things. And so the next iteration of how I'm doing this, I don't just throw this in Cursor and ask it, like, just build this stuff. I actually have multiple documents. So every person on the team will have a different document that they're responsible for. But for now, we'll just do this like one shot here. It translated our needs into
Now,
what.
you're a developer. You've had experience with this. Cursor's not the app that most people are going to be using to build this directory, right? They're probably going to be, if they're no code, they're probably going to be using Replit or Lovable or Lindy or one of these tools. So when they build the directory in those, is it ready for commercial use, or are they still going to have to go and talk to a developer like you to be like, hey, will you finish up the last 20% just to make sure it's clean?
I'd like to tell you that they'll be able to just launch something, and they will be able to just launch something. It's just not necessarily going to be exactly what they need. So part of it is you'll need to accept the fact that you're not going to get exactly what you want, right? So, and maybe just roll with the punches and do with what you have. Of course, second part is like, if what you've got is close enough, then you can find somebody to help you. I mean, we're here to help. And the tools will get better. Replit is apparently getting much better. Cursor is working on a lot of stuff. Like, I'm building stuff on top of Cursor. We're not quite there yet where you can just say, give me this and it's done. But I think, yeah, we're getting there. So like, look, for this stuff, right? Like it got even to the point where it did a file structure for us as to how these components would look like, data schema. Like part of it too, right now, we're just going to try and see if this works. But if I were to do this offline and not on camera, I would read through the whole thing and to make sure, that it specifies exactly what I think it should specify. And then I'll edit all the bits and add all the details where they're missing.
Yeah, what would you do? Again, you're no code or you don't have coding experience. Is there a QA doc or a QA prompt you can ask it to say, hey, please look over this code for these specific potential problems?
You're going to want to be as detailed as possible. So in my workflow, you can kind of see it in the background there. I'm adding test-driven development where I'm saying that for everything we build, make sure you test it after you build it. And I'm also asking the AI to be very granular in how it makes things. So instead of just trying to whip out this whole directory at once, like we're doing now, I would say, and again, this is where I'm going to need to read a bunch. But this is where I'd say, okay, just make sure we can display this one page. Here's the information. So like here, I took this information and we're going to save this as data JSON. And I'll be like, hey, like, just make sure we can display this on one page first and then do the next step. So you don't need to be a developer to do that. You can just think of like, as a user looking at a website, what are the bare minimum things you want to see on it, right? And then start editing. Because it's a lot better at doing simple steps quickly than it is at creating this massive thing. But you know what? Again, we're playing around here. Let's just check it out. Well, actually, here, tell me. We have this product requirements document.
Okay.
And we have data JSON that pulls the data. How would you instruct the AI to go and build you the website?
I don't know. That's what you're here for.
Yes. Like just think about it. Like, here's this dumb robot, and you're trying to tell the robot that, like, I want something. How
so
do you tell?
Tell me the data sets again.
We just have the data JSON with the data we need to display. And we have a requirements document that says, basically, we put everything from our discussion.
How we want it displayed.
As much as we just explain to the AI, it should technically be contained in here.
Okay. So I would say I have my explainer document. Please take the JSON file with all of the data that we'll be displaying on our directory and create a first draft directory.
Ooh,
Is that close?
I'm typing it out. We'll see. So, so like everyone is selling you this magic because magic is going to happen. We're definitely going to the direction of magic where things will just happen. But for now, the more magical you want it to be, the more work you still have to put yourself into doing it. You learn over time like what helps. And I've been talking to a lot of friends about what helps them, and different people have different approaches. But like you learn over time that, okay, the more you can put in a document, the better the AI will be at creating it. And then the more you can, and then eventually you want to split the documents into sections because it's better at making like one section at a time than an entire document at a time.
Right.
You want to do test-driven development because then it will hopefully not fail as often as it normally fails. Or, you want to tell it to never delete stuff because once in a while it goes on the wild like goose chase and it adds like 20 files you never needed and just deletes the 20 that you actually wanted. And like you have to put hard boundaries around that. It's hard for me to say whether tools like Replit actually do that internally. They probably do. Like hundreds of engineers that work for those companies got to do something. So I'm assuming that's what you're essentially paying for. Somebody is putting all this knowledge into the system.
Let me just try to back up and be concise.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, with directories, you can be as complicated or as easy as you want to make them. You can go with a Replit Lovable. You can go with Cursor. If somebody is like serious about wanting to launch a directory, and let's say there's somebody like me, and they have no coding experience. In your mind, yes or no, are they going to need someone to help them at least finish the product?
Yes, if they want it to be really good.
Okay.
No, if they are persistent and they're okay with letting AI take control of some specifics.
Okay, so let's operate from the perspective of yes, they're going to need somebody to help them architect this project. So if they are going to need someone to help them architect this project, when would be the best or ideal time to use them? Is it at the beginning to like architect the whole process, or is it at the end to get them, the last 20% past the finish line?
From the perspective of a person who does these things, I think you should try and fail first, because then you'll have much better appreciation for somebody helping you. But it's also a learning experience where you're going to realize what you actually want. Because it's really easy to just have an idea. But at the same time, if you really don't want to do anything, you just want somebody else to do it for you, that's fine. But try to put as much detail into your concept as possible. Don't just come with an idea of, I want a directory and I have $20, right? Like that's not going to work.
Not going to fly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, let's see. Let's see what we did. Here, we can read through the descriptions. Look, it's created all these files to display all this stuff. Oh,
Do we see it? Or when are we able to actually see a...
Yeah, it's installing stuff. So let's see. It's
installing.
Local Service Finder. Find emergency plumbers in Boise, Idaho. Click. Boom. Are you seeing this?
Dude, that's freaking awesome.
You can visit their website. You can call them. Oh boy, let's not call them. It's actually started the call. But we still have 5 minutes, and we're going to go even further because we're going to commit to making this live.
Okay.
You're going to say git init. Again, git is just a way to save stuff. Git and commit. We have our first directory ready in demo. We're going to say Versal prod, which is going to send it to production. And it's going to be my project. Again, look, you don't need to know any of this. It's just asking you questions. Want to verify the settings? No, I don't want to verify settings. Where you're learning this, obviously. Even better. And we're going to totally work on this because I already bought the domain.
What'd you buy?
Services, emergencylocalservices.com.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. So after this episode, emergencylocalservices.com should be live and ready for you to check it out. And you know what I can do? Do you think we should make it open source? Should we put this?
I don't even know what that means. I want to say yes. What do you mean open source?
Means everybody can use what we just built without having to rebuild it again.
Sure.
So we're just giving it to them for free. Our hard work of 15 minutes and like $2 in credits on AI stuff. We're going to connect this to the production environment, and eventually, hopefully, maybe it will actually appear online. Look, yep. So it's already available in their staging environment. So I see this like weird URL. So we've got that. And then we're setting up okay. There you go. emergencylocalservices.com. We have local
Hey.
service finder.
I have another domain that I just bought while we were talking. I was just like trying to find, what about findlocalhomeservices.com?
Perfect. And the beauty of this, once you build this, you can throw it on 10 different domains.
It's crazy.
Let me show you one more thing, because I think people are going to really appreciate it.
Okay.
I use this tool called Midjourney for generating images.
Yeah.
Because right now we are not getting services. We are getting just the text. I mean, there's nothing to show. So you can go here and you can say, create an image. I was making a bunch of stuff yesterday. So we're going to say, handsome plumber. We're doing plumbers, right? In Boise, Idaho, fixing a sink in a beautiful big house. Let's just see what it does. I highly recommend everybody. It's like $10 a month. Play with Midjourney. I set my kids up with this the other day. They created their own personalized profiles, and they spend like 2 hours generating images. It's like watching TV, but you actually get to like make stuff, because they realize that they can actually be very detailed about all of these images and specify exactly what they look like. So anyways, look at this handsome plumber in Boise, Idaho, right?
Yep.
So now I'm going to finish by saying, remember like how we started doing things by hand, by going to Appify and doing this? The next iteration of this tool would be to say, automate things like for every page, go get an image. For every page, go get a ChatGPT description. And how you do that? Well, you actually have AI write the description of the image, then send that description of the image to an image generator, right? And so you automate, like you peel back the onion and you automate every step of your process. And that's really like where the power is, where one bit at a time, you automate yourself with AI.
Well, I just bought findlocalhomeservices.com. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And I also created an image. And here's what I said. Handsome local plumber working on a sink and inspiring confidence to those who are looking for a contractor. It's loading right now. I didn't use Midjourney, but let's see what ChatGPT has come up with. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. You know, he's not as nice as the one that you have. I feel like the one you had, like, it's like, okay, that guy's got 15, 20 years worth of experience.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's not a new grad who just bought this plumbing company. Like the guy who you have, I'm like, okay, I'll hire that guy. This guy, I don't think I'd hire him.
But I mean, he looks trustworthy, you know?
He looks good. He's too well built for me. It's like, why do you have so much time?
Too much time in the gym.
Why are you in the gym? Why aren't you working more? Are your services not that good? You know what I mean? The other guy, he was a little unkempt. He's got a little beard, some stubble going on. He's got 15, 20 years of experience. It's like, hire Jack over there. Pull up your picture again. Let's see your picture again.
Let's see Jack. We're going to call him Jack.
Oh, so dude, look at Jack. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm not worried about him being alone with my wife, you know? I'm not worried.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far.
Maybe not.
Jack's got street cred, you know? So
look at Jack. Look at him. Like that guy right there. I'm like, okay, I'm hiring Jack. He's got some, I don't want him making mistakes on my sink that he learns from. I want him to have already made those mistakes, and he's made those mistakes.
And think about it. Like, this is the power of creativity, because literally now for every page in every city and every zip code, you can start to change the prompts, right? Like where if you're in Texas, you can have Cowboy Jack. If you're in Seattle, figure out your own prompts, you know, but that kind of stuff. Like, and now you can create all this content and go, and like, it's going to take you hours. Like if I spend the rest of the day working on this, we're going to have a really kick-ass directory for emergency services in America by end of the day.
Okay. I love it, man. I totally agree. Well, let's end it here. This is fantastic. Appreciate you. Let's go visit this website and get it moving.
Thank you.
All right. Hopefully you liked that episode. And if you've made it this far, you're either really committed or you're stuck doing yard work and you can't actually skip on your phone. So while I have you, the show is growing, but I have a favor to ask of you. Will you please help me grow the show? I want to reach more people. There's a couple things that you can do. Like and subscribe is the simplest thing. Obviously, you want to get notifications for when the next episode is coming out. But if you go the next step, will you leave me a review? 5-star on Spotify or Apple. What that does is it tells the algorithm that, oh, hey, this is a high value podcast because more people are leaving reviews for it, and it then pushes it out to more people. So that's why when people are like, will you like and subscribe and put a 5-star rating? It's not just to make themselves feel better. It's actually to get more exposure for the show. So if you do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.